Let's get some more now with the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Republican Congressman Ed Royce of California, who's joining us. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us. You know Ash Carter, the Secretary of Defense. He's a very serious guy with a lot of experience. Barbara just reporting he had been well briefed by the U.S. intelligence community. He told her that the Iraqi military in Ramadi showed no will to fight. Is he right?
Well, let's say that about the officer corps. Certainly the officer corps gave the order to retreat, the officers there on the ground. And this has been an ongoing problem. We should differentiate, though, because some of those soldiers held their position. There were some where you saw in the print media how they had had family members killed by ISIS, and they still held their positions there on the line until finally the order to retreat was given. One of the questions is which officer in the Iraqi military gave that order to retreat, right?
Because the problem was that there were several thousand Iraqi military troops, a few hundred ISIS terrorists there, and the terrorists, convinced the Iraqi military to abandon Ramadi, abandon their equipment, and run away.
And you also saw that some of the Sunni tribesmen held their positions also, and it's their province after all. They were not happy about that order. So this is part of the problem that Baghdad is experiencing here. Because Baghdad is perceived as being so close to Iran, the Iranian influence has been such that the weapons have not gone to the Sunni tribes, the weapons have not gone to the Kurds. In the National Defense Authorization Act and the legislation we just passed, we addressed that issue, Wolf, by mandating that some of the aid that we put through Baghdad go directly to the Kurdish forces and to the Sunni tribes that are working there, because we know that the Shia-led government at this point has not only provided woefully inadequate officers, but have not provided the resources, the equipment necessary for the tribesmen.
And there's a lot of fear it's quickly becoming, potentially, hope it doesn't, a wholly owned subsidiary of the Iranian government in Tehran. Speaking of Iran, I want you to stand by, Mr. Chairman. We have a lot more to discuss, including a trial that has now begun for an American journalist being held by the Iranians. Much more right after this. We're back with the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Ed Royce of California. We're talking about the battle against ISIS, a new military offensive by the Iraqi military aimed at trying to take back the city of Ramadi. Mr. Chairman, is ISIS winning on the battlefield right now?
Well, right now ISIS controls, after Palmyra, after that battle, half of Syria, and it's 70 miles from Baghdad. Now, at least it won the last two battles, one in Syria and one in western Iraq. The question now is, will this prompt a counterattack that's going to show success on the part of the Iraqi units? If that's going to happen, they've got to get the Sunni tribes involved in a major way in that, and they're going to have to arm those tribes. I've met with the leadership of the Sunni tribes when they came to Washington. They want to take back that province, but they say they need the equipment and support from Baghdad to do it.
And what they see is this new operation to try to retake Ramadi right in the Sunni-controlled area, the Sunni-dominated area of Anbar province, and the Shiite militias backed by Iran. They announced this mobilization, if you will, and they give it a code name that is a Shiite code name, which can only anger the Sunni majority in Anbar, right?
And this is the problem, because it creates more backlash, as the Sunni tribes will mention. That is why arming the Kurds and arming the allied Sunni tribes in Anbar, as we've done in the past, that are fighting ISIS, is the way to go, rather than bringing Shia militia, sometimes led by Iranian officers, all the way into western Iraq. This is giving Iran too much reach into the region, and it is complicating the effort to defeat ISIS, frankly.
Could you say the ISIS forces are only about 70 miles outside of Baghdad? We know they've taken control and had control for a year now of the second largest city in Iraq, Mosul. Now they have Ramadi. Is Baghdad in danger?
No, Baghdad is not in danger, but what is in danger is one of the major oil refineries, the largest, in Iraq. And in this situation, ISIS is continuing to try to advance on that field. So it would be very important right now if the Iraqi military can do a counterattack and actually succeed in taking back Ramadi and pushing back along the refinery.
Congressman, I want you to stand by because we're getting new information about an American journalist jailed for nearly a year in Iran, charged with spying. His trial began today in Tehran. I want to bring in our global affairs correspondent, Elise Lavin. She's working this very disturbing story for us. What are you learning?
Well, Wolf, the judge read the 4-count indictment and then adjourned after only 2 hours. The next court date unknown. In fact, nobody knows anything else about the trial because it is being conducted in secret.
Behind closed doors in Iran, American Jason Zion went on trial after 10 months in Iran's infamous Evin prison. His wife and mother shut out of the courtroom.
They were not able to go into the trial. They sat there and basically waited all day.
Iran says the Washington Post reporter is a spy who passed information to, quote, hostile governments. The judge hearing the case, so notorious for his harsh sentences, including the death penalty, he is sanctioned by the European Union. Today, the U.S. called the entire case a sham.
While we call for his trial to be open, we also maintain that he should never have been detained or put on trial in the first place.
Zion, a dual U.S.-Iranian national, focused his reporting on the culture and daily life of the Iranian people. He spoke with CNN's Anthony Bourdain last year, shortly before his arrest.
You happy here?
Look, I'm at a point now after 5 years where I miss certain things about home. I miss my buddies. I miss burritos, but I love it. I love it, and I hate it, you know, but it's home.
His family and editors say Jason is a pawn as Iran seeks to close a nuclear deal with the United States and other world powers.
The fact that it's proceeding in tandem, as it were, with nuclear negotiations does suggest that, at least in the minds of some, there's an effort to use Jason as a negotiating tool.
Last month, Iran's foreign minister hinted at an internal power struggle.
Unfortunately, your friend and my friend, Jason, is accused of a very serious offense. And I hope that he's cleared in a court. It is unfortunate that some overzealous, low-level operative tried to take advantage of him.
Addressing a crowd of thousands of journalists at the White House Correspondents' Dinner last month, President Obama promised to spare no effort.
Jason's brother Ali is here tonight, and I have told him personally we will not rest until we bring him home to his family, safe and sound.
But the Obama administration has made a point not to link Jason's case to the nuclear negotiations with Iran. Officials say doing so is more likely to scuttle the deal than secure his release, and only play into the hands of those responsible for his detention, Wolf.
All right, Elise, thanks very much. I want to go back to the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Ed Royce. What do you think about this case? Should it be linked to this nuclear deal that seems to be in the works, the deadline being the end of June?
Well, we should make it very clear to the Iranian government that if their intelligence community and their judicial system can't protect someone, a journalist like Jason, and 3 other Americans, by the way, are being held there. If their intent is to replicate what they did in 1979 by taking Americans hostages, then what guarantee do we have that when international inspectors go in there, that they're not going to be taken captive? This needs to end now, and this is an old pattern. But to have the possibility of a death sentence for journalists, this is nothing new in Iran either. We're going to have Jason's brother testify in my committee next week, and other family members representing the other 3 families that are held there. But can you imagine being held for 10 months in Evin prison, which is where some of the worst torturing has gone on, against religious leaders, against students in Iran? Our hearts go out here to the family members, and we hope we can secure his release.
Certainly hope so, indeed. We'll cover your hearing in the coming days as well. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.